So, the health situation has been talked about. The health situation in the country we've complained about it. We have said something has got to give as we go across board. And now here we are this morning, and joining us in the hot seat is the Deputy Secretary General of the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, Dr. Dennis Miskellah. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And yourselves?
We're doing all right.
Thank you.
You have a splendid shirt there, man.
Asante sana. Yes, we are promoting Kenyan designers.
You always represent, and we like it very much.
Yes.
Yeah? You're smiling, but the smile seems to have been wiped off the face of many a medical practitioner in this country, and that's some of the conversation that we'll get in today. But first of all, let's welcome you to the show with a proverb that, if you know CT, what he does, you know where he goes. Yeah. At least for the proverb part of it. He's going to share today's proverb with us, and then you can tell us what your interpretation of the same would be. All right.
We are in the Republic of the Sudan. Yes, located at the confluence of the Blue and the White Nile. Now, those rivers are huge. When you look at them, when you see them, if that's far, just go to DRC here and the Republic of Congo. River Congo is massive. Not these little rivulets that we have here, that we like, and stream that we like calling rivers. But Sudan is the third largest country on the continent. It is also the third largest producer of gold in the continent. It's actually a country that is rich in minerals. But what it's also rich in, and this is infamy really, is that since its independence in 1958, this country has had 7 coups. Not attempts, coups. When Omar al-Bashir was the president, he ruled for 30 years. He got in through a coup. Now, as we speak, there are over 1 million people from Sudan who are now in southern Sudan as refugees. The cost of human lives is immense. It's not one of these things that you want to talk about, but you must, because by the time a continent has a region that is referred to as the coup belt, it tells you that the thing that characterizes certain regions in this country is the constant coups. But the coups don't become a thing on their own. No. Before coups, there are usually not just misgivings. There are murmurs, there are complaints, there are dissatisfactions that are prolonged for over a long period of time. And then the military has an opportunity to now take over. Then the dance begins, because getting out of that is difficult. Just look at the country of Nigeria and how long it took for them to actually get out of that to the point where you actually have civilian presidents. We forget, many of their presidents were actually military men. They were generals who actually took over. It is not something that one wishes for. However, let us look at the proverb. The gentle word gets a snake out of its hole. We have a similar saying in Kiswahili. But this is the Sudanese saying, a gentle word gets a snake out of its hole.
Doc?
Yeah. So I think, just as you said, we know about Maina tamu ya mtoa nyoka pangoni. Yeah, I think kind words or kindness can really bring good out of people, even no matter how angry somebody is. If you are gentler, if you are kinder, you can still bring out the other part of it. It's equal to just maybe an eye for an eye makes the world blind. So sometimes we go slow on the tough part, and we can be able to get something good out of even people who are perceived to be bad.
Very good indeed.
Absolutely. You can get some good out of it, isn't it? I mean, thanks. Definitely a great interpretation. I think it says something to each of us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, let's look at some of the pronouncements that were made over the last couple of days, over the last couple of weeks, shall we? Dr. Miskellah, there has been a lot that's been happening with the SHA program, with interns just under a year ago, with the clinical officers, with nurses. I mean, the whole health sector has been taking a beating after beating after beating. And now most recently with the SHA issues across board. But one thing that steps out really clearly is that the KMPDU has urged the president to scrap SHA, take it, chuck it out the window, and take NHIF, which was working at some level, and then, panel beat it a little bit and get that sorted out. What formed the basis of that pronouncement that was made just a couple of days ago?
So, thank you. Before we start, I want to spare a thought. Spare a thought for the patients who have lost their lives because of inability to access the care that they want. I want us to spare a thought for that border rider who has lost their limb because when they broke it, they couldn't afford the care that needed to salvage that limb. Let's spare a thought for that mother who has lost her kidneys or her eyes because of diabetes and she couldn't get the care that she needed. Or the child who had to die because they couldn't afford the bill. Let us spare a thought because many a times when we are discussing healthcare and the politics of it, we think that it's just another story of economy, education, bad roads. No. A bad road can be fixed in the next budget. The economy can be fixed over time. That school capitation delayed can be sent next term. But a life lost can be regained. And that's why when we talk about healthcare, we have to really think, knowing that we are racing against time. So that anybody telling you to wait as things will settle down, treating problems, not that the woman who has woken up this morning somewhere in Kawangware with a sick child running fever, and she probably does laundry in Kilimani, and she has to choose whether she'll go to the hospital or go for work first. She goes to the hospital first, they'll sleep hungry tonight. She goes for work first, the baby will die. Either way, she's doomed. Those are the issues we are, majority of Kenyans contend with. 6% of Kenyans undergo catastrophic healthcare expense. That's around 3 million of our countrymen and women who have to sell the only cow they milk, sell the only land they till, so that they can try and attempt to cure their loved one of cancer or of whatever condition that it is. So when we come out as KMPDU and say, hey, let us step back and see how we can save the day. We are not saying it out of malice. We are not saying it out of politics. We are not saying it out of just the need to inject. No. We are saying it because every single day as healthcare workers, we are confronted with the realities of a failed healthcare system. And nobody goes to work. Nobody trains for 6 years as a consultant, as a doctor, and 7 months as a consultant to watch patients die, to see mothers die because this teenage girl who got pregnant doesn't have an ID to register for SHA. Nobody wants to see somebody dying because they couldn't afford. And that's why we're saying that, yes, we are not naive. We know that NHIF was a law that was repealed, and now we have the Social Authority Act. Yeah? But law is made for man, not man made for law. And we must never allow the law to tie us into knots that the law won't untie.
Doc, as we talk about the situation in our healthcare system, we look at the issues that have been raised by KMPDU over time. You know, we talk about issues to do with the collective bargaining agreements that have not been honored. We talk about the agreements with regard to the intern doctors and the salaries. It was reduced without consultation. We talk about a doctor who's offering services at Kenyatta National Hospital, and they are unable to get the very same services that they are offering. Now, today we talk about SHA. Hospitals, today is 21st, the faith-based hospitals have threatened to down tools. Just why does there seem to be rigidity from the government side to listen to stakeholders?
Yeah, you know, I keep on saying that this thing called UHC, sometimes we call it Taifa Care. It's simply people want that when they fall sick, they get the health care that they deserve, the highest attainable according to Article 43, at the time that they deserve, because health has a time factor to it, in a hospital near them, at a cost that they can afford. We were told that when they're pushing for SHA and all that, there was going to be free health. But there's nothing like free health. Somebody must pay for that health. Whether you are paying it through your taxes, whether you are getting it through donor support, whether we are doing it through out of pocket or private insurance or the social insurance, somehow somebody must pay for it. And when you look at the pillars of the UHC, there's the part that of the infrastructure, the hospitals, the buildings. As Kenya, we have even surpassed the WHO infrastructure GDP ratio, where the numbers of the population, we have built so many facilities that we are building more. Of course, for obvious motivation that kickbacks and construction contracts. Yeah? 1. 2, the other pillar is that you need the health product and technologies, the drugs in the hospitals, the theater equipment, the labs. We saw with the equipment, they had the managed equipment scheme, which was a scandal on its own. Yeah, we now have another one now, which the county signed again, where they're going to be outsourcing for services. Yeah, we have had camps are being reformed and all that. So on that bit, they are doing well. Yeah, the other pillar is human resources for healthcare. The workers that, after building that beautiful facility, they won't treat patients, those buildings. You can treat a patient under a tree and they'll still get well. But a building won't treat a patient. You have seen the police hospital along Bagadi Road.
Yes.
Yeah? Under that footbridge. Beautiful facility, but dead as dodo. Because there are no healthcare workers in it, right? So after, you have to hire people and a proper skill mix. You can't just hire all doctors and leave even a cleaner. You need everybody in the right skill mix to be able to offer that service. Yeah, when you buy that machine, you must have somebody to operate it. Not like in Homa Bay, where they bought a very nice MRI machine with no radiologist to operate it.
So how does it work?
Or in Embu, where they had a very nice renal unit for 2 years. There was no nurse or physician to run the renal unit. Yet it was already set up. So you must have HR, and that's the challenges you're having now. The strikes, the unrest, they don't help anybody. And finally, all those things must be financed. And that's where SHA was supposed to come. How do we finance our healthcare? How do we save the 3 million countrymen and women who have to sell something or who have to die or lose limbs because they can't afford healthcare?
Why would it work in the manner it did under NHIF, Dr. Miskellah? Because to an extent, I mean, it did. That you could go to hospital and you knew that NHIF would cater at least for certain things. You knew there were some people who would go into hospital for whatever reason and NHIF would cater for the entire bill. So why would it work and then not work to the extent that it should efficiently under a new system which was supposed to be better, it was supposed to be more, inclusive? What's the discrepancy from a doctor's point of view?
Yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm still stuck or hung up with the nostalgia of hippies and zilizopendwa, but I can tell you for free that my children, my daughters and son were all born in a city facility, high-end hospital, and NHIF paid for that.
There you go, okay.
My mother, her life was saved by NHIF, and she's alive up to now because of NHIF paid for that. And so many more Kenyans will tell you that. And there's no rocket science around it. Kenyans don't need to be threatened, coerced, or even massaged by politicians to register for any health scheme. As long as it is working, they will join it. I worked in hospital where women just need to, I'm a gynecologist by profession and OBGY, yeah? And they just need to come in labor, deliver, we just ask for your ID, we register you for Linda Mama, and you go home. Now I'm told that women are missing care because they cannot, and the SHA system is hanging. Yeah, people knew that all you need to do was just pay your 500 shillings, simple, no means testing, blah blah blah. Just pay, you go. As a civil servant, I knew that beyond what I give as 1,700, I just need to forfeit my medical allowance of 6,000, and I have an enhanced scheme. Simple, direct. We all knew that you just walk into any level 2 to level 6. So long as you have an NHIF card, you're good to go. You'd get even the BP machine in those hospitals you are given to take home. You'll get even the sugar testing machine you're given in your pocket to go home with. Then somebody says that, hey, look, we need to fix this. That this house is leaking. That this house you have seen a snake get into. Let's burn it down. Let's burn it down.
As opposed to looking for the snake.
And the healthcare workers, the unions, say that, hey, I don't think we have to burn down this house. We can get this snake out. And you remember my friend Waziri Susanna Kumicha was all over TV stations saying how NHIF is full of cartels and thieves and there's so much smoke without any fire. Yeah, and yet they knew all along that they're just trying to give a dog a bad name as they were planning against NHIF. We kept on asking them that these cartels you keep on talking about, these thieves you're talking about, how comes that they can't be arrested? Yeah, why are we bringing down this house? Then it hit me that you can only burn down your house if you see a snake in, if you can benefit from constructing it afresh. And so they set up this SHA. And they told us that SHA was the best thing after sliced bread. They told us, just sit back, we live in, we pay lower 300 shillings.
Yes. Just come, show up.
If you can't afford it, we'll pay for you. you will just turn up and be treated for free. Then we ask them, show us the act, the bill we're trying to pass. And we went through it as KMPDU. And we have a document, a 25-page document, where we flagged all the problems that they are going to experience if they go that route. First of all, I was in the issue when I said that in our context, we cannot have the scheme, a contributory scheme. Why? Because 80% of our people are in Juakali. Only 20% are on a salary. So how do you enforce the 80 to pay without suffering what you call that bias around when you fall sick, is when you pay for it. Because insurance can't be that you fall sick and pay. Yeah. It's like when you knock your car, is when you pay for the insurance. It's going to be sustainable. So we asked them that, how do you make the other 80 pay without them paying only when they fall sick?
Absolutely.
Why can't you go the tax way, where you can say that for everything, something you buy, a percentage goes to healthcare. For Germany, where 80% on salary, you can attach that contributory scheme
to their salary, yeah.
But they said, no, guys, let's just push this through. So we went to Parliament, gave our views. Parliament did not consider our views. In fact, I get very offended when I see them calling the Waziri and trying to ask her questions about SHA. Guys, what did you pass then? If you're going to be asking questions now, why are you just rubber stamping things? When they didn't listen, we went to court, up to the Court of Appeal, challenging. And we want some few things like that part where they're saying that you'll be denied government services if you don't pay for SHA. That one was pushed back by the court because you already paid taxes, you can't be denied services, So finally, they decided to have their way, and I remember the Waziri boasting how not even a comma was changed in Parliament.
Right.
Yeah? But then again, you only get to know the taste of the pudding in tasting it. And so SHA has been here with us, and it has come with immense challenges. First of all, when you insist that people must have IDs to register for SHA, don't you know that we have underage girls who get pregnant and need services? Don't you know that we have foreigners, even in Gikomba, Rwandese, Burundians, Tanzanians, who don't have IDs, yet they will get tuberculosis. If you don't treat them, their next neighbor, who's a Kenyan, will be catching that TB, so you can't lock them out of that healthcare system. Yeah? We told them that, what is mean testing? That's the most inaccurate form of knowing what somebody can pay, because today I have 3 motorcycles. Tomorrow I'm knocked by a car, I've lost,
and I can't move.
Or I have 4 cows, and then they fall sick and they're dead, and I can't afford. And then you go ahead and tell these Juakali people that they'll be paying it annually. As me, the employed and pay monthly, they'll be paying annually. Then they say, no, we can't afford it. Then you say, no, we'll give you a loan. We'll organize you a loan from a private company to pay for you. Then you pay the loan to the company. Yeah. It was nonsense. Yeah. We tell them that, why do you need this multiplicity of funds? There you have the primary healthcare fund, you have the social health insurance fund, then you have the emergency chronic and critical illness fund. What time do you overlap to the next? That multiplicity, it's just like, there when you play in the street where they mix those things and you tell them to choose one. It's called pata. Yes. They intentionally bring those mixed up things for you to, they could not answer that for us. Yeah. And many things that we told them cannot work. I have a 25-page document. I cannot exhaust it here. But the truth of the matter, long and short of it, that Kenyans have had now more than 6 months, from October up to now, to try this SHA. Even in birth, babies cannot keep on having teething problems forever. Sure. At one point, you now call it a delayed milestone. Yeah. But then again, I think that from the word, I've been very reflective lately about this country has very, very smart people. Could it be that these guys were genuinely did not know what was going on despite people telling them? Or is that this thing called SHA was designed not to fly from day one? In fact, the other day I read an analogy that when a farmer decides to sell, a poultry farmer decides to sell, a neighbor wants a bird, an ornamental bird and all that, then the farmer tells them that, Shikai, this is a bird. And then as the bird keeps on growing, you go back to the seller and tell them, the bird you sold me, is it a bird? Is a hen? Because it's not flying. It's not flying. Then they tell you, no, throw it up, you'll see it fly. Then you throw this non-flight bird up and it falls back. Then you go say that I threw it up and it didn't fly. Then they tell you, no, but at least it flapped the wings. Give it more time to grow more feathers. So we are being told, give it time to grow more feathers. But sadly, as the chicken keeps on growing more feathers, it's not flying, but it's laying eggs in Dubai. So that's the same things of this SHA thing. It's not flying, and if you complain to the vendors that it's not flying, they're telling you, oh, patient, let it grow more feathers.
Dr. Miskellah, even as I have to give it to you. It's a great analogy. But even as this, this discourse, it takes place, but it's beyond a conversation.
Yes.
It's the reality of the situation.
Yes.
But then we hear stories. I mean, sure, few and far between of people who say, "Look, I've gone to hospital and I've been treated and my bill has been paid." And I often say, well, if for the majority it's not happening, then overall, then one can say that it is not working. You're in the trenches. You're right there in the throes of battle. Do we actually see a situation where Kenyans are going to hospital? I mean, and for truth's sake, Kenyans are going to hospital and this authority is actually not paying their bills. We saw sadly that, a doctor at, one of Kenya's most revered hospitals died. Care could not be afforded to him. Do we see that this is the recurring situation over this? Or are we pontificating and making too much noise?
Yeah, I know people keep on saying that SHA is working to some extent. Let me explain what is working in SHA. SHA, there are 3 funds. Actually 4. I'll add the 4th one in our next SHA. But the 3 main fund is the primary healthcare fund that's supposed to cater for level 1, 2, 3. This fund is a taxpayer fund allocated in the budget. To ensure that anytime you fall sick and you go for any outpatient care 1, 2, 3, should walk in and out without paying a single shilling.
Yes.
And the commitment by the hospital in that level say that we will have proper laboratories, proper pharmacies, well stocked, so that you don't have to then leave with a slip on your hand to go buy drugs or to do an ultrasound or X-ray outside. Yeah. The only thing they're asking of you is register. That's why we have 20 plus million Kenyans registered. Then after that, the second fund comes in called the Social Health Insurance Fund, SHIF. This is what you contribute 2.75% of your gross salary. This now means that when you have been seen in the outpatient and you have been found that you can't go home, we are referring you to the next level of 4, 5, and 6.
6, yes.
And this is the one for surgeries, this is the admission. That's the part of SHA that is working.
Where you pay.
They collect around 100 plus billion, the part that you pay. The primary healthcare fund asked for almost 64 billion. They were allocated 4 billion.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, and what's all that, even the outpatient component of SHA is not working. There's no system. That's why even that 4 billion, they only spent 1.35 billion because they didn't have a system of how to even give it out. Then finally, you have been admitted, you've been treated, you're now being discharged, you're being told, okay, we have treated you, but you are going to have long-term complications. We have maybe picked up cancer or picked up diabetes or kidney failure and all that. Now we then take you to the emergency critical care and chronic illness fund. Now this is a fund that even pays for ICU, cancer treatment, dialysis and all that. They asked for over 114 billion, I think. They're only given 2 billion. And that's why patients who are undergoing chemotherapy today, I have a dear friend of mine who for the longest time, their dad had been receiving fully taken care of bills. Now he has to buy Kinazoladex at 100,000 per dose, what NHIF paid for. That's why patients who are have to go for dialysis sessions 3 times a week, they have to pay for the 3rd one. Yeah, that's why ICU patient like the doctor who died the other day with a bill of 300,000 plus, ICU could only pay for 30,000 because this 2 billion is too small and the critical care is so expensive. Yeah, so you get that every day 80% of Kenyans go for outpatient services, 80 to 90%. Only 10 go for admissions. Another 1% are in critical care. So the majority of Kenyans are in this primary healthcare outpatient service that is not working. That's why patients are complaining, because when you go there, uliambiwa you won't have to pay. You find yourself having to pay 80% of them. The 80% is too noisy that they'll drain the 10% for obvious reasons that you promised them that just register, just pay, and you'll.
Let me ask the question.
Yes.
If the government allocated what they said they would to the primary health care, the emergency and critical care, are you therefore saying that SHA would actually work?
If government allocated the correct amount of money, SHA would work. Because SHA, the biggest challenge of SHA is financial problems. In that, the money that they collect in this shift, first of all, goes 2.5% of the 2.75 goes to some vendor that we don't know. Then every single claim you do, 50 shillings is deducted to the vendor again, whom you don't know. So of them combining all the claims and charging once, they separate them and charge individually. Yeah? So, number 3 is that the amount they're collecting is not sustainable. It's common sense that if you only pay when you're sick, if you tell me to pay for 1 year, let's assume 500 shillings, that's 6,000 shillings.
Yeah.
But I have a broken limb that will spend 100,000 to treat. And right now, people only register when they fall sick. So it's not sustainable. So we must, and also people have learned how to beat the system, the mean testing. I have a friend who, the dad is a very proud lord. When he went to register for the SHA, he said, I have a car, he lives in a stone house, all these things done to him by his son. And SHA told him, pay 3,000 per month. So they, what the hell? So then the mother tried to register instead.
Yeah.
And she lied. Mad house, what? And now they're paying 600 shillings.
Now can you see?
Kenyans have learned to beat the system. So mean testing cannot work. So we told them that, why can't we have a fixed amount? Then from the fixed amount, tell you that now the rest of you will do the 2.75 cap at maybe 5,000 shillings. Then everybody will be coming on board. Yeah? You're assured of a certain kind of money.
Yeah.
But no, we decided to go the mean testing way, the 300 shillings way, the uncapped. So you have only 20% of salaried people
And then you
carrying
wonder,
the entire burden.
And you wonder why then you cannot pay for services when people present themselves to hospital.
Yeah.
And you wonder why.
Yeah. And then the fourth and next was the Public Officers Medical Fund.
Yes.
Why? Because in 2011, civil servants used to earn their medical allowances around 7,000 per month. But they still have to fundraise when they fall sick. So what do they come together and say? That why can't we put this money together? Then we have a fund managed to us by NHIF. And from 2012, they have enjoyed a very good medical scheme. Teacher, the civil servants, except the teachers and police. And my daughters who are born, I tell you, are beneficiaries of this. And we didn't mind it. Then when the SHA Act was coming on board, they said, let it stop. Of course, as unions and workers, we made noise. And then they gave in. And in November last year, they made the Public Officers Medical Fund, where they took back that money and gave it to SHA to manage it. Tragedy of tragedies is that the government will take this money, but they'll never remit it to SHA.
Oh my goodness.
And SHA has a formula or an algorithm that by 9th of every month, if they don't receive the monies, they lock you out of the system. So you have not received your money, but government has not given government the same money. So that same government called SHA is denying you the services.
The services to go through.
It's just a big joke, and workers have to suffer and pay with their lives for it.
My mind just goes back to what we started with at the beginning of all of this, when we talked about a child who is in hospital and, the system goes off. You cannot take care of them. A mother who is giving birth and it's not. Those are the real issues that we're having to deal with when we talk about health, that you cannot claw back on when a life has been lost or somebody's life has been altered when it comes to an illness that they've not been able to get the medical treatment for. And now, not just those who go to seek health, but those who then give the service, doctors, nurses, clinical officers, across board. Those who say, okay, at least pay us something. And I think we've gotten over the point, Dr. that this is not a money issue. That there's not enough money or resources are not available, despite what we've been told. Or is it? When you tell me that they asked for 114 billion and they were given 2, or they asked for 110 billion and they were given 4, is it not a money issue?
Yeah, I talked about the 4 pillars of UHC. But then WHO adds a 5th pillar that overarches all of them, called leadership and governance. That all these things need some sort of coordination and budgeting and all that, yeah? And the HRH, the Human Resources for the Healthcare, is a very, very complex thing because you have almost 19 cadres treating one patient, yeah? You have the doctor, the nurse, the lab officer, the radiologist, the pharmacist, all these people working towards seeing one patient. And the moment one person is not properly managed, then you're out. Even if you had 10 neurosurgeons, if you don't have a nurse in that theater, there's no surgery taking place. Yeah? So, from 2013, when we had the devolution of healthcare, we've mismanaged that component of that pillar of human resources for healthcare. And that's why we have had almost 300 strikes from that day. Yeah? And lately, the strikes are not even about give us a pay rise. It's just about people say that, please don't disturb us.
Right.
Just, if you can't improve us,
Leave us alone.
Leave us there, you found us. Get that? Like, for example, the interns issue. These guys have been paid their salaries, 26,000 from 2017. Peacefully working, covering for 30% of the workforce that is needed in this country. Then somebody from nowhere just wakes up and say, no, we're overpaying you. We are going to slash your salary from 206 to 70,000. Yeah. And tell them, what do you mean? The worth of work that they do, if you have to hire people to do it, is worth 26 billion. These people are only spending 5 billion. You are saving 21 billion by interns working. It's a no-brainer. But somebody insists that they have to keep on just provoking. Or somebody refuses to promote you, work at the same job group for 10 years. And you're like, and you only go asking for promotion, you hear the MC is saying that, how can a doctor earn more than me? He's a doctor, You know? I mean, yes, sure, yes. Or when you find yourself in a state that you cannot even have transfers across the country. When the police came and found you in Busia, and your wife was in Bongom or Mombasa, you will never live together as a family because you cannot move across countries, you can't even have that inter-county transfers. Or somebody tells you that you cannot pay school fees for specialists going training because you can't do them a favor. Come on, you're not doing me a favor by training a specialist. Mganga hajigangi, you train for the country. It's a no-brainer. You know? So some of these issues are basic. I run a program in the union called Who Cares for the Carer? That every time that patient sits across your desk or lies on that bed or in that theater table, can they be assured that they have a safe healthcare worker handling them? You know, the way when you walk into a plane, you never even get to see the pilot. But you are sure that this pilot is competent enough and they'll be taking you safely. Can we say the same that today as a patient, as you are signing that consent to go for surgery, can you say that you are sure that that doctor has enough sleep? Or they are busy coming the whole night to pay for rent? Has that doctor even fed themselves? Has that doctor even received their salary? Can the doctor even receive the care? Can they afford care when they are sick? Or you have a sick doctor treating a sick patient? You know, those are the things that's why you see some patients who say that, oh, the doctor was rude, or I had a patient die in theater, or all these medical misadventures, because probably we don't have a safe doctor. For example, what happened, the two cases that I've dealt with the other day in our hospitals, where this doctor falls sick, and where he works, he does not have any cover. So what does he do? They're not even going to seek care where he works. He goes to a peripheral facility to seek care. And in that delay, things complicate. By the time they're ending up in this hospital, things are south. And after they die, somebody still tells you that you have 300,000 bill, SHA can only pay 30,000, or you can't go. And now you're stuck. I'm like, this person worked for you guys here. Why would you give them care? Or the second case, whom thank God got well, who gets a stroke, falls sick, and after the treatment in ICU, SHA says that out of the 400,000, we'll only pay probably around 80,000. Then now the poor mother who now has a child who is disabled with stroke, paralyzed on a chair, has to then go to a Shylock to get money to clear the 348,000 balance in a hospital where they offered their services for free.
Where you told people that they would be able to walk into hospital and get care and walk out.
Can you imagine if the doctor is undergoing that? Or the other day, I have a doctor who was in Kisii, whose child has undergone surgery, she's distressed, and she still has to call me and wonder that she's been told that SHA is not working because the 9th deadline has locked them. Or the one who walked into Aga Khan and gets embarrassed because she can't and send the screenshot of SHA, you're ineligible. Yet you have paid for that money. Or the one whose child needed an NICU, neonatal ICU, and can't be admitted in one of the hospitals because when they log in, you are ineligible. And when you contact SHA, they tell you, contact your employer. You get that? To remit their money. You know? So until we get to a point that we care for the carers, I can assure every single Kenyan, you are not safe until the doctor is safe. You can't be safe in an aeroplane where the pilot is probably suicidal, or he don't sleep, he's very sleepy and tired, you know. In aviation, they even have how many hours you must rest
and beyond
before
this
you fly. Or the last time you must take like an alcohol drug before you fly. All those safety measures. But the Kenyan, can you imagine undergoing surgery, scared on that theater table, and you are being told it's okay, things will be okay, then never having to wake up. Or your loved one, or your child, and are going there and never coming because a doctor made a mistake because in this moment as they are working on you, that child is at home sick or lacking school fees. we must care for the carers.
Actually, there's something that I have to ask here, because when you had that 25-page documentation of what you felt ought to be done, right, and ask the question, if that was sorted out, would we then have a healthcare system that would at least meet the needs that the citizens have? That's one. Question number one. Question number two, how practical would that be, and what length of time would it take before we actually saw the full implementation of it, so that what we're hearing becomes the reality? It doesn't matter where you are, you actually get the help.
We are not even here to reinvent the wheel. We had a 50-year-something old NHIF that had been perfected. Countries borrowed from us. Rwanda borrowed our UHC plan. The Thailand we go to, they are very clear that even as they put that kind of scheme, first of all, they have the civil servant scheme standalone, but more importantly, 60 to 70% of people in Thailand go to public hospitals. In our side, the flip is that is private hospitals that are supporting the healthcare system, because the public hospitals don't work. Yeah, and why do they do it? A private entrepreneur does not open a hospital because they love you so much. A butcher does not open a butcher because they love you so much. They are in business.
They want to make money.
Yeah, so they are in business, and when they offer services and you don't pay them their money, and when they make noise, you threaten them, they're going to shut down. Or even if you threaten them and shut them down, it's the Kenyans who have denied care. Yeah. So we first of all could have just said that, okay, what is this biggest challenge that we have with this NHIF?
Yeah.
And the only thing they have told us so far was corruption. Yeah. So if you know this woman who had 66 cesarean section in a year, or this limb that was cut 5 times in a year, then you must definitely know the patient. You must definitely know the doctor, the hospital. What have you done about it?
Yes.
As KMPDU, you have said that we are definitely willing to pay for the money these people stole, so that you can stop gaslighting us every time you raise issues around the failing system. Because when you complain about SHA, you are being told you're defending cartels, cartels are fighting back. But who stopped you from prosecuting the cartels? Yeah, the government, you have everything.
Especially if you know who they are.
Yes, you know about the limb, but you know about the doctor who did it. Let us stop being dishonest around healthcare, because you cannot PR your way out of a bad healthcare system. Yeah, and I keep on saying that this government, their Waterloo, what will finally make them calm down is their decision to be tone deaf on Kenyans crying about healthcare, because the patients can't be wrong, the doctors can't be wrong, hospitals can't be wrong, bishops can't be wrong. That the only right person here is a politician who has a private medical cover.
Yes.
They can't all be wrong. They can't be tone deaf. They've been warned that whatever this pet that they think is a cat called SHA, it's a lion cub. And it's going to grow up. And it'll grow until one day it will eat them. For now, it's still eating the rabbits and the chicken in the compound. But finally, it will eat the farmer. I can assure you that this thing is a monster. And if they don't fix it, because Kenyans can forgive you if you're a thief and you're fired, you go. Kenya will forgive their thieves. But Kenya will not forgive you if they lose their loved one, my daughter, my mother, my limb, or my eye, because somebody somewhere decided that it was more important to make money than to take care of us. We don't even want them to allocate more funds. We just want them to allow us to use what we have prudently. You can't ban 104 billion. And when you complain, you tell us that, no, we didn't spend your money. We are paying it over a prorated time. But it's still my public money going to a private pocket. Whether you're doing it over 10 years, doesn't matter. That's my money.
But you could actually put into the system that would treat people.
In fact, NHIF say that they only need 700 million to fix the ICT challenges that was supposed to plug in the gaps of corruption.
700 million.
Only.
As opposed to the
104 billion.
Yes.
And even when that system, the 104 billion system crumbled the first time, a private firm was sourced for quietly to save the day. I know how much they charged?
No.
1 billion only.
1B.
Okay.
And that was saved the day when the 104 billion system was not picking up. So we have to be genuine. We live in a country where times are tough. We know that times are tough. We know government is broke. But you have to show me you're broke by how you spend my money. You can't be a dad who says that my kids, let's tie up our belts, things are tight kidogo. But you're always coming home drunk. You're coming home with very brand new shoes. The next day you come back with your car's new tires. Everybody else is eating vegetables in the house except you, daddy.
Now, Doc, as we talk about this, let's go back to the money issue, because the ministry had requested for around 319 billion shillings. They were given 127 billion shillings. But let's take the 127 billion shillings that is there, plus the 100 billion shillings that was raised through SHA. Now, as we have this discussion, there is an issue on how these, say, 227 billion shillings has been spent, and there are existing gaps on where that money went to. So as we talk about the inadequacies with SHA and SHIF, you're calling for, let's go back to NHIF because it worked. But the government clearly, these are policy moving forward. So what is in it for medical workers and Kenyans, because they want to know what's the way forward?
Yeah. The budget issues have been a challenge from when government committed to spend 15% in Abuja. Yeah, and then things got compounded. The problems in 2013 with the devolution.
Right.
Because governors were told by the former President Uhuru Kenyatta and the Transition Authority that let's unbundle these functions which have been devolved. Let's cost them. Then we devolve them kidogo as we give resources. But governors led by Isaac Ruto of Omet was very little those days. Said no, you're against devolution. Give us. We want to take it and run with it. Because in their mind they thought that healthcare is like when they see the big hospitals in town, money minting and all that. So they took it. Uhuru said, okay, you want it, take it. Now they found themselves with a function without resources. So that healthcare is 90+% devolved. But resources are all in Nairobi. Even if we combined all the money that counties get for healthcare, cannot match up to the 173 billion Ministry of Health got last year.
Yes.
Yeah? So that's the first challenge, that the resources are back in Nairobi, the patients are down at the counties. Yeah? And nobody wants to own up and say that, hey, we made noise, we beat more than we could chew. Let us surrender maybe level of 4, 5, 6 back to Nairobi. You saw in Kisumu now they surrendered GTRH, Russia, back.
Yes.
And we're challenging that they should be surrendering more, because clearly somebody cannot give you 10 billion and expect you to do development, use more than 60% on paying salaries.
It's not going to work.
And some poor people who most of them are going to be coming to the hospital and you have to waive their medical bills, because if you detain them, you're still going to feed them anyway.
I mean, there's so many pots that are boiling at the same time, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, we have this whole issue where patients, unfortunately, going to hospital, and this is not just a Nairobi issue. This is around the country, and not able to access. Number one, you have medical practitioners, across board. Whether we talk about interns, clinical officers, I mean, doing the thing. Nurses just complain. It just seems to be cyclical in nature. These complaints that we see. There is not one that takes precedence over the other in terms of the urgency with which it needs to be fixed. Do you think that government as an entity, because they are the ones having to deal with this, the framework setup and maintenance is a government role, are they overwhelmed or out of their depth?
Sometimes I want to think that overwhelmed, but no. I think that this thing is by design. There's somebody who is intentionally collapsing the public healthcare system to drive people to private healthcare system. I can dare say that, because some of these are so basic. For example, how come that you'll always see the leaders of government, the president, they'll go to border summit, they'll go to headmasters and teacher summit in Mombasa. You'll never hear about healthcare summit. And when they finally did one in Karen, they were just government alone. Did you ever see workers there? No, they just government people. And we ask them, where are the workers in this so-called summit? Could have just sorted this thing by writing memos to each other across departments. So the fact that we have even offered this SHA, we told the government, the president, that come, we are willing to sit with you for free, tell you where the challenges are, tell you what needs to be done. Once you commit them, we'll personally, as Miskellah and our colleagues, go and tell Kenyans that this has been sorted. Now let us register. Kenyans don't trust their politicians. So the moment you tell a politician to come tell me to register for SHA, in fact, my policy is this. What a politician tells me to do, I do the exact opposite.
Yeah.
You get that? So Kenyans will not register because some MP came with the checkbooks for bursaries and I register. The healthcare workers can be the biggest champions for SHA, as long as the government is willing to sit and hear that. What is your experience? What are the challenges? Yeah, but every single time we've tried to engage SHA and the Ministry of Government to tell them the gaps, they don't listen, but they have answers. And most of the people in that SHA are theorists. Ministry of Health has serious technocrats who could help them with this SHA thing. But no, there's some people somewhere who seem to know everything except how to solve the problem.
A former SG has now been nominated to be the PS at Medical Services. Do you think that this might, understanding the intrigues from when he was in the trenches as well, and then still, working through the medical process at Nairobi, do you think that it might make a difference? Because having understood the things that you're talking about now, Miskellah, would he then, do you think it would make a difference?
One thing I have to give to the president on the recent past is the way he has tried, at least, to show the healthcare workers that he now is ready to have serious people help him. The fact that he has acknowledged that mistakes had been done in the past. And as a union of healthcare workers, we are extremely happy with his recent appointments. From when he got the Dr. Deborah at the ministry, she understands the system, to when they got Nyikal in the committee, Dr. Nyikal, now Dr. Oluga coming on board. Then Mudhoni, she's not a medic, but she's extremely good. Yeah, she can communicate it. She has her heart in the right place. She's been able to balance the workers. Yeah, and we have DG Amoth, also another doctor. The only thing now left is for them to be left alone to do their work. There's too much interference sometimes. When you hear people saying that Wazir is clueless, it's simply because I'd be clueless too with my clever mouth here if you made me a CS, and every time I'm getting phone calls from private interests whom you can't ignore because they have a big brother somewhere watching. They have to be let to do what they are trained and what they need to do. And I can assure you that it's going to be a very, very interesting boardroom having my emeritus SG across, the guy who did the CBA with his signature down there. And I'll be reading for him and quoting his words. I want to see, oh Lord, I hope they'll televise that bit of it. Yeah? I want to see how the border will be pushing back on a CBA that she benefited when she was a doctor in KNH or Ramoth. Yeah? It's going to be a very, very interesting space going forward. But in all this, let's know that public office, we hold it in public trust. Hizi si vyeo vya kujiekelea. Don't be a boss, be a servant. Absolutely. And above all, know that at the end of the production chain, there's a patient, a mother who might not have a voice to sit here and complain, who might not have a phone to tweet about it. Let's think about them every day as we sit in those offices in the morning when we are going to serve them.
Last one, Dennis.
Briefly, what will it take for you to rescind your decision on downing your tools?
Oh boy, let me tell you. Downing tools is not the problem.
Yes.
A strike is not a sign of a broken down communication negotiation. A strike is a cornerstone upon which meaningful conversations take place. Because when now this stubborn employer who does not want to listen sees that they are going to lose something, then they are willing to sit down and have a serious talk. So trust me, strikes are part of talks. Very, very important parts of talks, because that's where meaningful talks finally begin. Si hata unaona hii broad based government ilianza baada ya watu kupangana pale kwa vita kidogo. Yeah, you have to finally fight at one point, then you sit down for peace. And what annoys us that we have been fighting and sitting down for peace, but the other end does not honor their deal. The interest thing we sat for December, we agreed for peace. Now they are back again fighting with us again. And for us as KMPDU, fighting and striking is our bread and butter. So if you want it, we'll give it.
Thank you for keeping us honest. I mean, that's one of the conversations where we don't say we want to say, let's see what will happen in the future, but keeping us honest about what the current situation is and what must be done to ensure that life is secured and kept safe, and that those who practice for health in this country are also protected and taken care of. And yes, we say, don't stop fighting. And we will make sure that we continue keeping these conversations front and center. Dr. Dennis Miskellah is the Deputy Secretary General of the KMPDU, has been our guest this hour. Thank you, and keep on. Asante sana.
Thank you.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.